What's up, guys and gals? It's your host of the most, Griever, as always, bringing you guys the latest Kengan Omega. Kengan Omega, chapter 210, entitled Red Pseudo's Suspicions. Chapter review, not a reaction. Flashback is over. We're done with reactions for the time being, and we're back to reviews. And it's a little early, technically speaking, to start setting off the party crackers with a big banner saying, I was right, across the screen, because I might be right. It's more, I might be right. This chapter all but confirms it. So, what am I talking about? Well, the chapter was pretty straightforward. Not really a whole lot to talk about, other than the fact that Gamukaku is a worm. According to Red Pseudo, Gamukaku is officially is a worm. He says he should have killed him when he had the chance. He's been keeping Ryuki captive somewhere on the premises, and they want to know exactly where he is. And the reason he attacked Oma wasn't because he thought he was attacking the connector, but because he thought he was attacking Ryuki, that Ryuki had escaped. Now, here's the funny thing, is that after yesterday, even though I missed out on the Komaki version and stuff like that, so I had to wait, and that's why the review isn't out yesterday, is I managed to, though, however, watch like Missed Content. My guy, he did a reaction, definitely go check him out. And between him and the Reddits and the Discords and stuff like that, I noticed a big lag. Not that nobody mentioned this, but even when they did, they say this Gamukaku's a clone. Most people are assuming that Gamukaku, this is still the real Gamukaku, and he is a worm. He's been a worm the whole time, or he turned into a worm. Well, if I can find the clip, if I can find which review I stated this in, I brought up, I forget which chapter it was, but I'll put it here in this video if I can find it quick enough before getting the video out. I'm kind of curious that Gamukaku, especially, I'm not convinced that Gamukaku, the one that raised Tiger Nico and Tokita Nico, is the same one that is Ryuki's grandfather. I'm not 100% convinced of that. It could be. Just something about this chapter's Gamukaku is making me doubt that we've been seeing the same one this entire time. The Gamukaku who beat up the white, who basically, boom, punched Buddy's head in through his neck and down into his chest cavity, that Gamukaku felt different from the Gamukaku that we've been following since then. And I brought up, most people brought up clones, and I think I brought up cloning too. But let's take ourselves back to the beginning of Omega, when imposters and impersonators was the worm's big thing, almost to a fault. You couldn't tell the difference in physically and fighting style. There were slight differences that, of course, Idamitsu, the head of Purgatory or whatever, I think that's what his name is, he, noticed slight. You know how that's not exactly the right style, but it's close enough that unless you have a trained eye for it, you won't catch it, and stuff like that. These impersonators and imposters were almost perfect from the worm, even like Noji's secretary and stuff like that, right? So we've seen that in early and mid Omega and stuff, and even though it hasn't been around for a little bit now, it's still a thing. So I'm out on a limb here, thinking that this actually isn't Gamukaku. But I didn't see a whole lot of people bring that up, and when they did, they said that this was a Gamukaku clone. I'm not saying it couldn't be a clone, but I'm thinking this is more a worm imposter of Gamukaku. A very convincing one, because even Oma is saying, yeah, he's using the Nico style and stuff, but have we actually seen, here's the deal, I don't think we've seen this Gamukaku, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we've actually seen him use a Nico style attack. We saw the one who caved in the White Worm Lieutenant guy use Nico style or Gao style. We did not see this one so far use the Nico style. I don't believe so, because that probably would have tipped Oma off. Even though he mentions in this chapter, like, yeah, you follow fours, mine's going to be slightly different and stuff, but I didn't see any named attacks or named katas in this chapter, and I don't recall if he used any before. Remember, he attacked him with a weapon, and then he, and then in this chapter, he just basically fell on top of Kogo while sparring. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that this worm is one of the worm imposters or impersonators, and that I was correct in the first feeling that when we had the first Galmukaku, who, you know, coughed up a bit of blood and went, yeah, I'm going to kill that connector sort of idea, is not this man. That this man is doing a very convincing act, but that's why he felt just a little bit different. Because Retsudo brings up, like, I thought you were attacking him because it's the connector and stuff, and that goes in line with the Galmukaku we saw before, but this has all been a red herring because he was actually attacking him, because Ryuki is actually on the premises, been captured by this guy, and for all we know, Galmukaku, the grandfather that he found, or the one who told him to kill the worms and stuff, for all we know, this is why I like this theory. When did Galmukaku, the real one, if ever, actually take on Ryuki? Maybe this, there is a potential that maybe this Galmukaku is, assuming that I'm right, has been the one that found Ryuki and trained him this whole time under the guise of Galmukaku and trained him to be an assassin and a killer. And the real Galmukaku has never met Ryuki in his life. Because he does bring up, what did you guys do to him? Because what I did was train him and stuff. Or at what point did Ryuki, you know, he get switched or taken from the real Galmukaku and the impersonator started raising him? There are those possibilities, and that would actually add a depth, a level to the story if you don't know at what point did they swap places. Or at what point was the real Galmukaku involved at all. Now this is all based on the fact that I don't believe that Galmukaku is a worm. I don't believe that this is the real Galmukaku. It still could be. And that's a whole nother thing, because Oma brings up something that everyone, I got some comments in the last one, and I saw, I think Misk brought this up in his reaction and stuff like that, is that I'm still questioning, is this just a fan theory? Because everyone seems to have come to the same conclusion that is completely, as far as I know, not confirmed, because Oma brings it up in this very chapter, asking the same questions I was. Why did 5 and 6 kill the rest of them? Everyone's answer to this is that the brothers that couldn't make it to be Tokita Nikos were all killed by Mukaku. So 5 and 6 turned on Galmukaku for killing their family, killing their brothers, just because they weren't good enough, right? Where's the evidence of that? Did everyone just reach the same sort of theory conclusion just to justify it? Because Oma's asking these questions. So he doesn't know that information, if that's actually confirmed information, that he went out and killed the ones who couldn't become Nikos. And here's the other good question is, if that is a theory, because I believe it is, I think it's just a popular fan theory that I've heard all over the place, and I don't think it has any true evidence. I don't think we actually know the answer, like Oma's saying. Why did they kill him? And Rio brings up, because they were worms. And Oma goes, well, wait a minute now. If the old man's to be believed, they defected to the worm right before they went to the forest. So, if that's true, then they weren't worms up to that point. Something made them turn. And why did they despise him and all that stuff? I think this is just a fan theory that maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe it was confirmed in a chapter I'm not thinking of. But, so, why did 5 and 6 turn? And the math doesn't actually add up when you think about it. Because if their whole thing was they hate him because he murdered their brothers, why would they go out of their way? Why wouldn't they go after Mukaku himself? Instead, their revenge for killing their brothers is to kill their remaining brothers. That doesn't really work when you actually sit down and think about it. They want revenge on Mukaku for killing anybody outside of the final 7, but they end up killing most of the final 7 for revenge? One of these things is not like the other. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, I'm sitting here going, I'm asking the real questions, the same questions I asked. And I'm going, I don't think we actually know the real answer yet. I think it's too easy to sum that up, especially with the information that, at the very least, this Mukaku is a worm. Now, I believe the flashback Mukaku is what actually happened. I believe that is what happened, because once again, a great impersonator and imposter can basically walk into somebody else's life and know everything about them. It's researched, it's methodical, it's all that stuff. So I believe that all the information that has been told to us has been accurate as far as we know. Even if this isn't the real Gamukaku who was there back 20, 30 years ago, whenever it was. So if that's the case, if that's the actual case, this opens so many doors when you think about it. And the way Red Pseudo did this was basically the red herring idea, right? He did this red herring where he sort of tricked him. He trapped him. He basically said, Ryuki's in our custody, and automatically he went, whoa! And he's like, gotcha. Where is he? You know, sort of idea. Of course, I don't think they actually have Ryuki, of course. He did this because he doesn't trust that this guy's not a worm. Now, the way it's said, and they're all just not feeling it. There's something they're not trusting. There's something off about this guy. Almost been feeling it the whole time. So is Ritsudo, so is Ryo and stuff like that. And in the end, when he says this, has been taken into our custody, he said, so you haven't killed him yet. And he says his response confirmed it. You know, he's somewhere here. You know, give it up, it's too late. I had my doubts about you all along, all this stuff. So now they're demanding to, you know, where is Ryuki? So this is where Mukaku says, should have killed you when I had the chance. And I'm sitting back like, you couldn't have done that. But actually, and as I said, I think this kind of confirms that it's not him, because the only time we saw Mukaku use a Nico style move was the other one. If my theory, once again, it's just a theory, but if my theory is correct, the only time we saw the actual Mukaku use Gao style or Nico style was not this one. We've never seen this one use it, because that might have given him away. Oma might, even with his remark that my style is different to 4's, Oma's seen enough of Ryuki and 4 to know if Buddy's an imposter, I feel like that's why he wasn't using it, and he's been tipping it off. Remember, he's only been sparring against Koga, and even though he came at their blind side, they still managed to dodge his initial attack. So, yeah, so there's all this stuff. And then at the end, as he said, you're the ones who did something to him. This piece of shit is a worm. And it's like, the chapter ends off on a big cliffhanger saying that this guy's a worm. You're not wriggling your way out of this one. I'm going to explain everything. So Retsudo is going to give us the deets. Going to give us the major details in the next chapter. I'm looking really forward to that one. I hope I'm home in time to catch the release, because yesterday, of course, this is why this review took so long. It wasn't, it was already past its 3 hours or whatever at the other site, so I didn't have a chance to read the chapter up until, you know, today. So, either way, I think this is a great chapter because it's showcasing the flashback was good, and now we're getting into all this stuff. I never really trusted this Mukaku. They always had an uneasy feeling about him, and as I said, if I found that clip, it'll be inserted where I was talking about in the rest of the review. But yeah, I'm holding on to that theory. I mean, that theory is only going to be a week old, because I have a feeling that Retsudo's either going to say, this is Gamukaku. You know, there's 3 options, really. There's 3 options here at the end of the review. There's, he is the real Gamukaku, and he's been a worm the whole time. He is the, or as a subset to one, and it's not that many. As a subset to that, he is the real Gamukaku, and at some point he turned into a worm. Okay, so there's that one. This is the real Gamukaku, and he's been a worm either some of the time or the whole time. Option number 2, he's a clone. Created, of course, by the worm, and has been a worm the whole time. Option number 3, this has been an imposter and impersonator, which the worm has done multiple times in Omega, and he is not the real Gamukaku the entire time. The only time we saw the real one was in either flashbacks or the one that killed the white worm dude. So those, I think, are our 3 options, and I'm the biggest fan of number 3 because it is it's the deeper storytelling, and it has a lot more options to branch out into crazy telenovela, soap opera level drama for me, and that'd just be kind of cool. It's like, oh my god, it was the evil twin brother the whole time, you know. I when it's done right, that shit can be kind of cool. So either way, what do you guys think? Out of the 3 options, it's probably only going to be a week old, because Retsudo's saying in the last panel he's going to tell us everything at the beginning of the next chapter. So which of the 3 do you subscribe to? Is this the real Gamukaku? Is he a clone, or has this been a worm imposter the whole time that they've been talking to? And the real Gamukaku, is it they haven't been, he's still around, but he's the other one. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you guys back here for more Kengan Omega, chapter 211. Looking like it's going to be quite a bit of fun. So, and how are they going to take this guy out? I'm pretty confident with Oma and Retsudo there alone can probably take this dude out. But, or maybe even Oma by himself, because if he is an imposter and he's not the real Gao, as close as he might be able to replicate the look and feel of the style, Oma's a true master of redirection and stuff like that. A fake is never going to be as good as the original, so let's just be real. But anyways, let me know what you guys think. See you back here next time. Sayonara, everybody. See ya.